say it's non-dual. It's not good or bad. And this is something I experienced, and this is what set me off, right? Like, I actually felt this, and this is like, as they say, like, because, you know, we talk about love.
What's going on, guys? Before we get into the video, I just want to let you know that if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications so you know whenever I post. Make sure you follow Maleficent's Instagram and Bandcamp in the description, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, so I think we're on. So how are you?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's crazy how big the time difference is compared to here to where you live. I think it's 5 hours. So it's like...
So it's about, like, 10 p.m. there?
It's 12:35 p.m. here. And it's probably, what, 5:35 for you?
Yeah, it's 5:35 now. Right? I don't think you stay out that late.
Yeah. Wow, okay. So what town do you live in?
So I live in Nottingham. It's fine, because in England, you know, in America, there are states, everyone knows about America, but in England we have like county, and we have like loads of cities that are part of one county, so it's like Nottingham, but Nottinghamshire, if that makes sense. Like Robin Hood, yeah.
Nottinghamshire. That sounds like from The Hobbit.
It does. Cool, man.
So what
about you?
I live in Delaware, the state. I don't know if you know Delaware.
Is that like Texas or what?
No. It's the second smallest state we have, so we're kind of irrelevant a little bit. We have a beach. We're on the East Coast, by New York. We're like 2 hours from New York. Yeah. So were you born and raised there?
Originally, my parents came to the UK from Zimbabwe, which is in Africa, near the south. Yeah. So I came here when I was like a toddler, like 4, 3. So I've been here like the majority of my life, and I have basically like no memory of anything prior to coming to the UK.
Wow.
What about you?
I was born in Pennsylvania. It's like to the left of Delaware. It's about like 3-hour drive. Lancaster. It's like a Amish town, kind of. Do you know Amish people?
Of course I know Amish. They're awesome, dude.
Yeah. Same situation. I was born there, and then when I was like 3 or 4, moved down here. I only have a couple memories from there, but we still visit back there sometimes because most of my family is from there. What'd you say?
Okay. No, I hear that. So like, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 21.
Well, I'm 22.
Oh, you got one up on me.
Yeah, I did.
So what is it like growing up in your town? Like, I'm trying to like see if like there's any differences or similarities from like growing up.
So probably let you know, cause you know, I'm not been to America, but I know plenty of mates that have been like all over the place, and so from what they've told me, and like the main differences, right, it's not as big as for first of all, like everybody basically, you can be more known, I guess, just because it's just not that big. And so the community part is, I guess, a bit more important. I'm not sure if that's the same. I mean, I'm sure it is, but it's a lot more important, like, because basically, there's not that many people. And so, like, going to school, from what I understand compared to America, is a lot better, right? It's a lot, like, less, like, lawless, you know, and, like, because I've seen all those American movies, because, I grew up watching a bunch of Americans, and it's nothing like that. It's so much. Of course, you get your average bully and stuff, but it isn't like you get stuff in the locker or whatever. something like that, or you can just go study. It's not as intense, I guess, as certain aspects of American like communities, where you have to go certain routes and stuff. It's not all free, I guess.
Yeah, I guess in America it depends on what town, because America's huge. I haven't even been to most of it. But the town that I live in, it's kind of a small town. It's been growing, but it's always been like a small town, so it's kind of the same as what you're describing. It's like everybody knows each other because there's only like 1,000 people or whatever that is like in the town. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
No, it's not that small. 1,000 people down. Mine's it's like a lot. Like, people know each other, but not like in that sense. We basically know the different districts and areas and like what's up within you just know about the city. You know what I mean? Everybody knows generally about the city just because it's not that big. So you can't. It's not like in New York or wherever. You can't really. Just get lost in it. You just know it inside out, on the back of your hand, basically, just because it is.
Okay, So things that I hear about the UK nowadays, I hear a lot about like crime, like knife crime, because guns are illegal, right? Have you ever seen any sort of violence like that?
I've seen some sprouts, but I've not seen one. I've seen the potential, or you get encounters, right? And it's obviously a guy that most likely has a knife. It's obvious, but it's never escalated to somebody being stabbed or anything like that. In terms of knife crime, the location I live in, right? And I'm sure it's like that with you. It's like if you're about that life, if you are really about that life and you're pursuing the heavenly life, you're not gonna. It's really rare that you're just gonna be on. It's usually between these individuals that are in my life. And I'm in my life. I'm never having experiences like that. Now that I'm really with people I know basically. And then I have a lot of friends getting surprised for things go out and people things. And it really is just, I guess, who you are, right? As we say, that's what you are, and so who you are about them.
So, UK people also like this stereotype in America is that you guys like to drink a lot. Is this true? Do you guys drink a lot?
Honestly, you're asking a guy, the one guy that doesn't drink.
Okay.
In my past, when I was a bit younger, yes, that is I was 18 and stuff.
Yeah.
That is, the pubs are like I'm sure you've heard about it, right? The pubs and always rubbish. They really love to drink, right?
Yeah.
It's quite they're around you, they got all this shit. They really do love a good drink, a pint, as they say.
Pint, okay. What's the drinking age?
I'm pretty sure, I was drinking, when I was 16, before and stuff, but, pretty sure the legal age is 18 to be able to buy alcohol.
Wow. Interesting. Cause it's 21 here. Yeah. So when you were drinking and it sounded like you had sort of like a party phase, as you could say, maybe. Yeah. What kind of things did you and your friends get into, or what did you guys do for fun?
We just literally get ridiculous experiments. Music. Get drunk. Not retarded, but it's I don't know how experienced you are with getting stoned. It's they call it a certain name for it, right? When you combine perfect balance, you're stoned but also a little bit drunk. And so that was the vibe when we just eating it and not care about anything. That was generally the time, right, when you're 18 and stuff. not really, don't have any like responsibilities or whatever, and so we just have like loads of psychedelics, so on, and so on, and just take the time.
Yeah. Okay. So I was wondering that because when I listen to your music, I definitely get that psychedelic vibe. Like it definitely reminds me of like a Nirvana maybe, or like back in like the 70s, or I think 70s. Like that's the type of vibe that I kind of get from your music. Is that an inspiration for your music?
Yeah, man. I like so music. I love all music. Like to me, music, right? It's just like a label, right? It's like a pointer to something that is, not that like it's just a word. Like, but the reality for me, like, it's like life. It's like art to me. And so, like, the music, like, it's just how I see music. It's not something that is something you throw away as like people treat music nowadays, because there's so much shit music everywhere. It's essentially like just art, like you're painting, except with notes and stuff. And so, like, some of my favorite musicians are like painters to me, like Nirvana, Kurt Cobain and stuff. Like all this stuff. Like to me, I can literally visualize the music when I'm writing and see it, like etc. And like it's just, and so I really like music. Basically, it's just more than just something that's happening outside of me. That makes sense. Like I really feel it, and so I guess that's why I'm able to like get the like when I listen to music, I'm able to like get that and like put it into my own work, because I feel that like I feel what the artist is trying to do, and so I'm like, oh, it's so cool. Then I take inspiration from that and I paint in a similar way when I write music. That makes sense.
So what do you mean that you can see the music? Like you can see the notes, or you can like feel the feeling you're trying to portray?
It's a bit of both, right? You feel the music, like you feel the rhythm, you feel the whatever you're trying to convey, but you also visualize. You literally see it like a movie playing. Like I'm able to like see a beach or whatever, and then after that relates to like what I'm painting or like drawing, writing. I'm like literally able to kind of see, like, because it is literally like purely visual for me, like as well. Like I see something, right? I can see, whatever. Then I try and like put that with music, like try and replicate that with the music, like while I'm visualizing like a beach somewhere, and the music is like trying to convey that. Like, because I like film scores and like loads of films and stuff, like film music, and so I take inspiration from that as well, like the visual aspect of writing music.
Huh. Okay, so if say you gave beach as an example, so beach, some of the things that you might see when you think of beach is like calmness or stillness or things like that, right? And then that's how you like would come up with that.
Oh yeah, like it isn't like either way. It actually happens together. Like it's one thing, you feel it, like you feel the inspiration, right? You feel whatever you want to create, but then an image also comes along with it that is kind of mirroring that, reflecting that. So that's just kind of strengthening the vision, right? Because like this is something that I've noticed with the best, my personal opinion, the best people who write music and art, they have a vision, right? Like the film director, they have a vision. They know exactly what they're trying to convey because they literally see it like within themselves. And so that's what I see exactly what I want music to convey, and that's what I try to do. That makes sense.
How successful are you being able to 100% recreate the thing that you visualize in your mind? Is it ever 100%, or do you just get as close as you possibly can?
I just get as close as to be fair, I feel like it gets better than what I'm trying to visualize. That's just like the starting point, right? So like that's what, then after, as I go through it, it just keeps evolving. It just gets better and better than what I initially was trying to visualize. Because again, that's just like the starting point. It can develop from there, like you write a script, then over some time, you just add more to it, the vision grows, the image literally evolves with the process, right? Yeah. But yeah, it's like what you say, it's like I try and do do it the best I can. Usually it's pretty accurate, and then other times it's just more like better than what I initially visualized. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Huh. So, what was your first ever psychedelic that you did? Was it mushrooms?
It was just good old LSD. Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through like the first time, like how much did you take? Like how, was it a tab? Was it liquid? How much was it? What did you feel? Like what was your setting?
It was literally with my friend. We just came back after hanging out with more of our friends and at a free place, and so we just took a dose that was like, I guess I want to say 150 EG. So that's just the standard dose, especially for the first time.
Yeah.
So the setting was just at my place, completely relaxed. And again, I did this when I was quite young, and so, I mean, obviously, like, now, looking back, as they say, like, you take years to understand your experiences, whatever you had on psychedelics. And so, like, looking back, I'm able to, like, piece together what happened, as I did a lot, nothing too excessive, but, I was really interested. First, it was just like, I just want to do some psychedelics, Then after, it was like, whoa, something here is like, it's like, this feels more real than what's going on there. And so after I started to get into, because I'd always had like a dad that was pretty into like, just like hermetics and like spirituality and stuff like that, and like knowledge and etc. And so I started to like piece together things, and so like, for the first time it was just like, it was just really chill. Then after, it was at my place, etc. But as I started to do it more, like, this is when I started to have bad trips and stuff, as you it's inevitable when you're messing around psychedelics at a young age, because you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And so, but of course, I had one particularly bad trip, right? And then this bad trip is what set me off on this path of like, self-improvement or self-development. Because usually with people, you don't really want to improve until you get pushed to, right? And so I was just super comfortable being your average teenager, whatever. Like, I honestly do not know what was going on back then. If I were to tell you, like, I'm sure the same, likewise, if you were to, like, look back and like, just look at what was going on in your earlier teenage years, and you just really have no clue what was going on. You were just doing shit for the sake of doing shit.
Yeah.
And so I guess that way I'm kind of grateful that it happened, because it kind of knocked me off that path of just still doing psychedelics and still drinking and still partying and and pursuing all these things. But back to the first time, it was definitely a life-changing experience in a good way.
Yeah. When you took it, like, you could kind of feel it come on, right? And did you get like chills or like a yawn? Did you feel like you had to yawn?
Not necessarily. The main thing, right, with the come up, I'm sure you may know, you have to take a shit, basically. That was just it. Every single time, I just felt the desire to take a shit before it actually properly kicked in. That was the main thing for me. Have you taken psychedelics before?
Yeah, I've taken mushrooms, I think maybe 4 times, and I've taken LSD maybe twice, and then accidentally took mescaline. Our friends, we were hanging out with our friends, and they were like, take this tab, it's LSD. So have you ever took an LSD tab?
Yeah.
So it's tasteless, right?
Yeah, it's tasteless,
So,
it tastes bitter, spit it out.
Yeah, so we didn't know that. So we tried it, and we were like, it tastes metallic, like it tastes like metal. So we're like, this is weird. Like, we've taken LSD before, this doesn't taste like this. And it turns out, and that's like, I had a bad trip from this. And like a year later, I realized like that was mescaline. It wasn't actually LSD, and it's called getting embalmed. It's when like you think it's LSD, but it's actually mescaline. So that was a crazy experience for me.
Man, you learned a lot from that.
Yeah. What have you taken mushrooms before?
Yeah, I've taken mushrooms as well. Because again, like, for me, they kind of do different things, right? So psychedelics kind of like, I mean, LSD sends you like, up into space or whatever, then mushrooms kind of brings you in closer into yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I find that, they kind of, they're useful for different things. But I have taken shrooms, yeah.
Okay. What do you use shrooms for, and what do you use LSD for? Like, what is it good to? Like...
Obviously, like there was a time when I actually take I'm psychedelic, and this was months ago, right? But this was just a one-off because I hadn't properly taken psychedelics in like 3 years. Because the last time I did it, I did like a big trip, and it was like 500 UG, and then this was heavy stuff, right? This was like a ridiculous trip, like for what it kind of showed me, right? And so after that, I just felt I didn't need it anymore, right? Because, you're kind of doing it to, some people do it for recreational purposes, but I was kind of doing it to just kind of know myself better a bit, like just open up my mind or whatever. Yeah, and so that was useful. Then after, like I said, bad trips, like this was still, like I still had a bad trip, and this was still lingering within me, right? And so I've been working on that, etc. Because this trip was insane, right? Because I don't know if you ever mixed psychedelics with other drugs like weed, right? And so again, like I said, I was into like pot, right? And so I mixed the two, right? But this wasn't like weed, this was a marijuana edible. And so I was on psychedelics, I was on LSD, right? And then I was overdosing on edibles. When you take too many edibles, I'm like, what, you've had bad trips, right? But dude, I'm telling you right now, like this was basically like insanity, right? This was like on the edge of like losing your mind, in that sense of losing your mind, right? Because you start to like, you just get into that state where it's literally just like, it's undescribable, like what the experience is, but it's so intense, right? But then honestly, that happened, other stuff happened, and then here I am doing the work and stuff, and then shrooms came about, right? Because I know a guy. And after I took shrooms, I did it about twice, and yeah, they provided like a lot of like, cause, shrooms like LSD is kind of like a dad, and then the shrooms is like the mom, so it gave me like, I guess loads of hugs and stuff, and like loads of just the stuff I needed to realize, and so yeah, I just used it for that, just it's gonna work.
Huh. So when you're talking, you're saying you're on the verge of insanity. Was it that reality was like dissolving? Like you couldn't distinguish reality from like other realities, or like?
It was more like everything in your entire life, right? Everything you've learned, or everything that is, so when you talk to people, right, and everybody basically has a different idea of what life is or what the world is. Yeah. And so you meet those people that are particularly just kind of like, they're still pretty chill, but they still have not the most like, I guess it's everybody in society basically has assumptions and beliefs that, they're going to die or whatever, that, it's evil out there. And like, so basically I saw everything, all my assumptions and all my beliefs, like face to face, like, I assumed that, there's evil out there, and so I literally saw that, and like, I saw everything that was inside me real time, and this was like, so like, for example, like, your average person, if you ask them who they are, like, you ask them who they say, I'm this person, I'm a black man, I'm a white woman, and so like, of course, on psychedelics, I felt that to the max, and I felt just how untrue that was, right, and how it was making it all a lot worse. And so again, I saw all my so-called demons right in front of me, like morphing and like changing everything. And yeah, it was literally insane. Like it wasn't like anything to do with, because the environment, because again, I was like grow up, right, and I've been doing this work, like it's just basic stuff that I know now, like, because you have to go there to realize to like come back out all the way. Like my environment wasn't communicating anything. It was all coming out of me. It was all just stuff that was inside me that I wasn't aware of, right? All these things I believed and assumed that, because I was religious. Well, I wasn't religious, but I thought it was, and I went to church, and then all that religious imagery and stuff, all that just boom right there, and it was insane, to say the least.
What did you get from, like, you said religion. What, like, did you think like, oh, this is a load of crap, or did you think like, oh, this is like real, like what they're saying is actually legit, or maybe they're like on a little bit, but like off a little bit? Like, what did you get from it?
I actually didn't care. When I was younger, I just went, like, see, your parents made you, like, I would give you an answer. The answer is I just actually didn't care. I was just there because I had to be there.
Yeah.
And so most of the time, I didn't actually pay attention. But I'm sure it still leaked in, you know, like all the talking and stuff. And so I'm sure that was what played a role, you know, all that stuff. You know, the morality that's in religion, you can't do that. You're a sinner, or etc., you know, and all this stuff. I mean, that's what I saw, but like, I never thought anything about it. I was just there because I had to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But when you were having that LSD trip, did it, when you said it showed you religious things, was it massive? Like, was it impactful? Or was it just like, okay?
No, it didn't show me, like, religious stuff in a way, as in, like, it didn't show me, it just showed me the religious stuff that I'd already learned, if that sense, like, the stuff that they'd already tried to teach me, right? And it just showed me just how messed up it was, right? Because I saw it, like, in real, because on psychedelics, right? Like, you know, let's say you start to get scared or whatever, then shit starts to change around you and everything's scary, or then you're happy, then, so, like, I just saw how that made me feel, right? Because, again, a religion is, like, it's not an issue or anything, but it isn't exactly the most helpful thing, right? Because it's so overly serious, you know, and, like, really, there's not much room for, like, you know, real compassion. Like, it's just about following a set of rules, etc., etc. And so I just saw that, and, like, I guess in a way I had been, like, sort of unconsciously following those rules, like, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. Like, I wasn't doing it intentionally, but it was in with me, and then I realized it, like, that, you know, this is what I'd been, like, kind of not making, like, enjoyable previously, because, you know, I had all these, like, barriers inside me that were stopping me from expressing, you know, aspects of myself, you know, as Carl Jung says, like, the shadow and stuff. Like, you kind of saw the aspects of yourself that you repressed, and that's what was the most intense part, right? Because, yeah, it was just ridiculous, and it was just painted with, like, religious stuff, of course.
Huh. So when you said that you encountered evil, what did you see? Was it actual physical evil, or was it more like feeling?
So, at the time, right, I was dating this girl, and it was just like a random relationship. It ended on that psychedelic trip, because that's when I had the bad trip, right, and so she was not making it better, because I guess in a sense, she was just like, you know, I guess at the time, I didn't attract the best girl, because, you know, you attract what you are.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I was like super, not full of self-development, but full of guilt and stuff and shame, without actually realizing. And so you attract those types of partners, right? And so those relationships just aren't really real. They're just about what I can get from you. And so it was okay, but this is when it hit its peak, right? I was just having a bad trip, and she just wasn't helping whatsoever. And so, like, it started to manifest onto her. Like, she literally turned into a witch, as in that sense. Like, her features changed. And I was telling my friend about this after. I was laughing after some time, after it passed. But it was ridiculous. Like, I was in my garden, and then my house literally turned into something you'd see from Hogwarts. And then she was just there, like, bro, it was ridiculous. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, and this is what I mean, as in, like, all these things, all these, like, ideas and stuff that you never necessarily knew you had, and, like, boom, right there, manifesting in front of you.
Wow. Have you ever listened to music while you were under that influence? And, like, could you feel, like, the good and evil from the music?
Well, that was the best part, man. That was literally the best part of psychedelics, and I'm, like, watching movies and listening to music. I just literally listen to albums, and just sit down and would have moved, and, like, because you've done psychedelics, right? When you experience music on psychedelics, it's just, like, it's undescribable.
Yeah.
So, the music is literally you, like, you and you are the music, and so yeah, I listen to loads of albums and music and like so much stuff on psychedelics.
Wow. I remember I was on a kind of a small dose of shrooms. It was like maybe 2.5 grams. But I can just remember listening to this, you know Jaden Smith?
Oh yeah, I love Jaden.
So I was listening to his one album, I forget what it is, but the song was called Lucy. I don't know if you've heard that song. Yeah?
I've not heard Lucy. I feel like I know what album it is. It's the one where he sat on the car, and then like the album cover, yeah, it sounded like a car or something, like Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I think it was that album. But like in the beginning, you know how artists will play lyrics backwards? It'll sound like gibberish. It was like that in the beginning, and it sounded so demonic to me. And then the whole song, he's singing like, Lucy, like, come and find me. I don't know, it was just, it gave me like super just like demonic kind of vibes. And that was when I kind of like, I mean, before that though, the first time I ever like really listened to music when I was under the influence was when I was on mescaline, and my friends were playing Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, and I could literally feel each guitar stroke. It was just like vibrating, like you said, it's almost indescribable. But I didn't know if you had that type of experience from music as well on psychedelics.
I definitely have those experiences, but you can literally, like you said, you can hear the guitar stroke, right? When like the instrument is literally alive, like it's breathing and shit, and it's like its own thing. Like when the guy's playing the guitar, it's literally as if like, I don't know how to say this, like it's it's indescribable. Like the guitar is literally alive. It's an independent thing, and like you said, the vibrations, you feel them, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, it's more than beautiful. It's just it's insane.
Does it frustrate you that there's a language barrier? Like that there's things about our reality that we can't articulate with just language?
I mean, no, that's actually learning that part, right? That, you know, because I had to really understand that. And it takes a while. It took a while, you know. Pure psychedelics helped open up my imagination. I broke off some things because I took my interact. And so once I started to realize that language wasn't reality, right? And so, like, you know, on this planet we have like loads of languages, and like loads of labels and stuff. And so it's getting to the point where it gets sort of perverted, right? Where people start to make loads of labels for themselves, you know, like, obviously, you know, not everybody and like, etc. But, you know, when it starts off with man and woman, then it goes up into other things and other things. But the whole point is, right, the label is it's just a label. Like, the reality is beyond language, right? And so, like, I'm kind of glad that, you know, language doesn't describe reality, because it can't, you know, reality is just beyond language. And then, like, once I experienced that, you know, it's like, wow. Because, you know, some people really get frustrated and, like, create their own hell by creating all these labels and things that, like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm living in this place, you know, and they actually see the words to be real. Like, they see the words, like, they've created about who they are to be real, and that sucks, you know. It's just a word, it has no substance, it's only pointing to something.
Yeah, it kind of seems like everybody at a certain age goes through this sort of existential crisis to where, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like you have to, if you want to be, like, in peace, in a sense, you have to let go. Like, you can't, it's almost like you can't, like, try to be, like, in control of things, because you're just gonna be, like you have to be comfortable with the fact that we're in this weird reality and we really have no idea what's going on. And you kind of have to, like, accept that idea, and if you don't, you're gonna be anxious and all that. Do you think that way too?
That is exactly That's exactly it, man. You kind of hit it on the dot, right? Because that's what was kind of happening with me, right? It was like I said, I created this reality for myself through all these labels, right? Because, again, coming from like where I came from to here, like this whole mental health crisis is a lot more complicated, right? Because psychology, psychiatry, and all this stuff, for me, is just a bunch of bollocks, right? Like, you can actually help yourself. And I feel as if they perpetuate it, right, with all this stuff about chemicals and pharmaceutical medication, like chemical acids, and it's all, beliefs and like nonsense. Like, it's not stuff that's ever been proven. And to me, it's just an industry that people, because again, people don't generally think for themselves. Obviously, you clearly do, but the average person just follows whatever. And so, like, to come back from there, like, to where I came from, it is just that, you have to realize, like, one of the assumptions that I used to have, and this is like a core assumption of this whole spiritual thing, right, is the assumption there is somebody who's doing things, right? And so, like, this is what I was really trying to figure out the last couple of years. It's like, because there are thoughts, but am I the one who's thinking thoughts? Because thoughts literally just come out of nowhere. The most random bullshit ever. I'm like, am I doing that? And so people actually get caught up with stuff, and I'm like, start to feel guilty and stuff. They start to feel as if, oh, why am I thinking that? What's wrong with me? Etc. etc.
Yeah.
But this is what I've been like, really learning and stuff. And your body literally just does shit like. And so this is where you really start to like, I guess get some like compassion for people. You start to realize that people just really like, some people generally don't like have, well, everyone basically has no control like over their anatomy, right? It's just happening automatically, right? Your heart's beating itself, like, etc., etc. Like, you're not literally doing anything. It's all automatic. But of course, it depends how you want to take, like, how far you want to take this, right? Because some people are like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything. Yeah, of course, but oh, I'm still doing this. I'm still moving my hand. But quite literally, like, this is like what they say about the different levels of like consciousness, right? And this is what I luckily realized. It's like, when you assume that you are doing things, right? When you assume that you are the doer of actions, right? That is like an identity in itself, right? I am the one who's doing things. And so this is what then like perpetuates ego, right? And so by ego, identity, right? And so, like, from my understanding, like, the way it works, right? Once you have an identity, right, your imagination will try and keep you in it, right? It will try and keep you in that identity. So that's how people survive socially with identities.
Yeah.
Like, when you're younger, then you're told that you can be this and that, so you kind of form this identity and you take it with you for the rest of your life. But it's not natural, It's like not natural to express, to not resist how you feel, as you said. People resist, like, they literally like are blocking themselves without realizing from expressing certain emotions, and it destroys them, right? It's like you can't, you want to go talk to a girl or whatever, but then you're like, there's something within you that's stopping you, or you want to go do this, you want to do this, and you're like, why can't I? You want to express, but then you have to realize that you're not doing anything, and there's something inside you that has, that needs to be worked on. Because again, it's all automatic, right? There really is no faking it. When you meet somebody, there's no faking it, man. And yeah, again, like you said, that whole resistance thing is literally like, it's like literally, from my experience, that's again, like, I'm not there anymore, but that was it. That was like cause of like all suffering, just all discomfort, right? Just the resistance.
Yeah.
It was, it's like.
Huh. It seems like a lot of people, they don't want to think about reality in this way because it kind of like scares them. Like it gives them like fear that like they want to think that like they want to be in their identity and they want to like sort of live entirely in social constructs, and like they don't think about like what like thoughts of like what is reality, like what is consciousness. I feel like that kind of scares people. Like they just want to be like, I'm me, I have my friends, we're just humans. I feel like a lot of people don't like actually like sit down and think like, what is going on here? Like what is this paper? Like what even is any of this? But I mean, I guess that can also lead you, if you're really thinking about that, that can really lead you to a lot of good and bad. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like when you're thinking about that, like you're deep in thought and of like reality. It's kind of like you have to go through hell in a sense before you get to like the light. Like it's like yeah. So that's I don't know. I don't know like if as a society, like actually let me say this. Do you think that there is any meaning in life anywhere? Is anything meaning? Because when you're like
yeah, it's like it really, because I had to really put this out, because this is a genuine thing that that kind of like sends people off, right? Oh shit. So, but the whole point, because language isn't reality, and the whole point is, I'm sure you start to understand that everything, as you said, is weird. It's purposely weird, right? Because that's just what's inherent. Like it's paradoxical, as they say. Like it comes back in circles, right? But like all paradoxes can be understood, right? Because when you experience something, you feel it, right? You feel it, and then that's how you know it. But it's not about the concepts, and that's what a lot of like people who kind of get into this fake self-development do. They get loads of ideas, alpha male and all this other stuff, and like that's just conceptual. But they've never actually gone through, as you said, gone through hell, like I said, and then you're able to like realize that that's not what you are. That's not real. And you come out the other side, and so it's like when it comes to that, right? Like you said, everything's meaningless. So meaninglessness is meaningless. Does that make sense? It's kind of paradoxical, right? It literally is meaningless. Like it's neither. It's as they say, it's non-dual. It's not good or bad. And this is something I experienced, and this is what set me off, right? Like I actually felt this, and this is like, as they say, like, because we talk about love, we talk about love and etc. And like, what is the point of everything? And like, generally, I understood is just there's nothing more important than how you feel. Like your feelings are the only priority. But when you live in the social constructs, you put your ideas and your identity over who you really are. And so this is what causes this immense suffering, right? This internal conflict, because those thoughts are not you, but because you assume you are, you're gonna end up doing that and like giving them meaning. But thoughts are literally meaningless, and like they'll go away once you start to realize this and you stop giving them your attention. And again, it's because it's not good or bad, right? It's like some people like react to this, and it shows you their state of consciousness, right? Because it's meaningless. It doesn't actually mean, it's, like I said, it's paradoxical. Everything is meaningless, but that in itself is meaningless. And so, literally, all that matters, again, is just you, right? Because you are the one that's aware of everything, like, and once you realize that, that you are, like, the reality itself, right? Because again, like, there's still this assumption, right, that I have feelings, that, I am the one who has feelings, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, how can you have feelings? And then it's that separation between me and my feelings. And then it's just that me that doesn't exist. So all there is, it's just feeling, right? It's just, as people say, like on psychedelics. This is what psychedelics showed me as well. They remove that part of your mind that does that self-referencing part that kind of creates like separation between you and your experience. Because on psychedelics, you're in it. Like, when you watch a movie, you're in it. And so this is what I've experienced, because I've been doing a lot of meditation, yoga, like raw vegan stuff for like the last 3 years, just trying to get on top of this, right? And it really is just like that. Like you can achieve that, you achieve on psychedelics, of course, without the walls melting, but that state, that peace, right, is accessible to you. But psychedelics only show you a glimpse of it, and it's just crazy, dude. Like what your assumptions and beliefs do, like as like a lot of studies have been coming up and stuff from people in this field, like who know their stuff, like your beliefs quite literally affect your chemistry in your body, right? like people who assume they're going to die on marijuana, etc. Their heart stops to beat, etc. And like the body freaks out but their environment isn't communicating anything to them. It's them who's creating that assumption, right? And so that's what their imagination is going to show them, right? Because you see what you want to see. As I've started to notice with people, they only see what they want to see. So you have to realize that they're not being anything, right? It's only just a mirror. That makes sense.
I think so, yeah. Like I think we are more powerful than we think we are. Like what you're saying, I think is, we're able to manipulate our environment. We're able to manipulate our reality just with our thoughts. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but you have to remember, right? It's like, that is the case, but there's still, it just depends how far you want to take it, right? Because it's not like a matter of, assumptions and beliefs. You have to actually investigate. And then when you realize that is the case, because, I don't know if you ever tried fasting or anything, but fasting is a good way to determine, how, just be able to figure out things, because, people basically can't go a day without eating. And so, again, you do the fast, and then you do the fast, and then after, it's you're able to do this, and there may be thoughts and stuff, there's senses within the body, but they're not communicating anything to you. They're not communicating you need to eat. Of course, and this is what again, what I mean by assumptions and stuff. You get it. It's good to get it on a conceptual level, but once you get it, you actually feel what I mean, right? Then everything you talked about, you realize you're more powerful. Then you actually are. Then that will take full effect. Then you'll realize that everything in your life, is just reflecting who you are or who you assumed you were. The identity you created, right? And so it doesn't have to be like that anymore.
That's really interesting. Do you think that there is something on the other side of death? Do you think that it's just nothing? It's just, but even nothing is something, right?
See, it's a really good question. Because, that is a really, serious thing for a lot of people, right? I'm going to die one day, and stuff like this. And again, when it gets back to this talk about meaning, right? And then we talk about death, and then it's because nihilism as well is really stupid, because they make it really sad, because, they should be happy. It doesn't mean anything, it's not sad, or it's just meaningless.
Yeah.
And this is the crazy part, they just don't get it experience. They only take it as an identity, and everything's meaningless. And so when it comes to the topic of death, of course, within your experience, right? Because you have to just ask questions about things. This is crazy. When you ask the right questions, right, something within you clicks. Because they say, your consciousness is your awareness, and the more things you're aware of, right, that's it, right? You become aware of it, and you can't go back because it never actually existed. And so I had to investigate that thing about death, right? Because again, I told you, psychedelic trip perpetuated my inner nightmares and stuff. And so when you're think the world's evil and stuff, without realizing, and your thoughts are reflecting that, you're honestly going to be scared of pain and stuff. And so I had to really figure out, what is that? And I guess I've reached my answer. And so, again, death only implies, we're talking about consciousness, right, spiritual, and so death only implies to that which never existed in the first place, right? And so the death is only the death of the concepts of who you are. Because again, you have to really feel this, right? And this is what stops you from being caught up in your thoughts, because that's all the ego is. It's just a survival mechanism. Those thoughts that pull you away and just take you to places you don't want to go. And once you actually realize that death is nothing, it's not anything that has an effect on you, right? Because again, you aren't your form, right? You aren't your body, you aren't your thoughts, right? And so you feel things, and so there isn't someone who's feeling. It's really just literally asking about who am I, because not many people ask them, like you said, they just have all these ideas about who they are. So, because again, this death thing, yeah, it is just getting out of the way. It just makes life so much easier because you don't want to have to deal with it then. And this is what a lot of Buddhists and stuff, like the Buddhists really get into and stuff, like, you know, the Buddha, like I don't know if you've ever heard of like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, etc. Like this is just something you have to really figure out, because if you don't figure it out, then thoughts are going to be really just messing things up for you.
Yeah.
Okay, but my experience is there really is no death, right? Death is literally a part of the experience, right? But again, if you assume that you are the body or whatever, like, then you're going to be caught up in those thoughts, right? And again, thoughts are just not real. Like, they come and go. Like, how many times do you get thoughts about something really bad about to happen, etc.? Oh, don't worry, but it never happens. Because thoughts are just survival. Like, they're just guesses, and you have to really see that. Like, it's just like, it's just that this whole death thing is nothing other than just a belief. If you get what I mean, you assume you're going to die. And so you kind of live your life in that way, always trying to survive, and instead of just feeling, you know, and being full of life, enjoying, etc. It just makes life extremely serious.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems like this is just almost like we're kind of in a video game, and this is just like a level to the video game, like, but then like after death is like the next level. Like your body is just a vessel. It's just meat and bones. Like, but what is inside you? I guess some people would call your soul. It's just a name. I think like that's just like a label that we use to be able to like conversate with each other to understand that concept. And that's what you're talking about. Is like the real thing is your soul. The thing, like physical reality is just I think it's just one of many realities. Like after death, I don't believe it's just like and like you said, like consciousness may be over after death, but like that you still have that energy, like it goes somewhere or something like that.
It's true what you're saying. I feel like you should investigate a bit more. You talked about how powerful you are, right? You're talking about your consciousness, etc. Well, you have to kind of, like I did say, like most of science is just basically not that useful. It's a lot of abstract and theoretical stuff that isn't really proven. But there are like genuine sciences that are really helpful, right? Like a scientist called Donald Hoffman, right? And he's like making groundbreaking stuff, and this is kind of like what spirituality has always been saying, like, truthfully, like, reality in itself isn't actually physical. Like, and this is another assumption that I had, and I realized I had to investigate this within my experience, right, my day-to-day life. Like, because, you know, this is a part of, like, you know, I'm this guy in a physical reality, I was born and I'm going to die, and this is generally, like, this is just the average story that every mind has pre-built into it as a survival mechanism, right? And this is just about, because, you know, we live in such a different time, because we don't have to like worry about wars and stuff necessarily as we used to in the past.
Yeah.
And so now people have nothing to do, right? And so they're just stuck with themselves. And so like, you know, instead of actually investigating themselves, they just keep running away from themselves, right? From those feelings of, you know, the discomfort and stuff. And so you have to just like realize that just generally, like, and I figured this out as well, like, consciousness is the source of everything. Like, your feelings, like, and this was the crazy realization, right? And this is what, you know, kind of changed everything, right? Because then you don't have to worry about thoughts, because you're able to just live from how you feel, right? Because that's you just generally, people just don't trust their feelings, right? Because, again, I have feelings, I'm separate from them, it's a physical reality, but your feelings are happening inside of you. Like, they're not happening outside of you, right? They're literally inside of you, because they are you, right? Mm-hmm. And so once you start to realize that, right, that literally, like, consciousness itself is the source of reality, right? And the material reality, as they are understanding in science, is what comes out of consciousness, right? And that just makes everything just go boom, like, because then, again, you have to understand, in reality, right, not in society, there's this big, like, over pretentiousness, like, they disregard your feelings, right? They invalidate your feelings, like, especially growing up. They like when you feel certain things, like, no, because again, they themselves are they're afraid of their own feelings. And so when they see expressions in you, right, they tell you can't feel like that. And of course, people generally forget this, and then they go their whole lives without, again, a kind of living empty shells, like not being themselves fully, right? Because they don't realize that, there is nothing outside of them, right? And this is what loads of meditation will show you, right? Because you have assumptions, there are things going on outside of you. And so that's what your thoughts show you. And then, again, you assume this, as they say, epitome, they say, is the power of now. There really is nothing happening outside of now. Because you assume there is, right? That's what your thoughts show you. There are things happening elsewhere, etc. But there really is just now. It's just only now. And it's just how you feel. And there's nothing more important than how you feel. Because again, like I said, society just disregards feelings because that is reality, right? Because in feelings you find compassion and love, and you care about people. And society, they don't care about anyone other than themselves, because that's what the ego is. Just me. I'm trying to survive. And, I only care about you if I can get something from you, or whatever. Just the average ego.
Interesting. So what do you think that we, as a society, what do you think is maybe a right path, or what even should be our goals? Should it be to love each other? Because on psychedelics, that's kind of the answer that I got. Is that love is the answer to?
No, man, that is literally it. Because again, this was the realization that just changed everything, right? Because that feeling of love, when you're in a relationship or you're with your family, and you're just feeling this love, right? And everyone knows what love is, right? They know that feeling so well. It's crazy how we talk about feelings universally, and we all know what love is. There's no doubt about it, right? But this isn't that type of love that I love you and I love you. No, I don't love you. No, this is what reality is, right? Because again, when we talk about consciousness, there isn't consciousnesses. There is only one consciousness, right? And this is what makes it so crazy, right? There is only one consciousness, right? And so, again, what actually is consciousness, right? What is the soul or whatever? Then you have to really investigate this, and it's just feelings, right? That's literally, of course, there's the form, there's the body and stuff, but that's just that. All you really know is how you feel. And so, once you start to realize that, and then you do, like I said, the meditation and stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with the chakras, or as they say, the different chakras, right? I was doing this work, right? And of course, I experienced love before, but then I actually felt that type of love here, that type of love you feel when you're in a deep relationship. I was just meditating and I felt it in myself, right?
Yeah.
And then that was it changed everything, right? Because it changed the whole context of reality, right? It's not the whole reality itself is love, right? That is what everything is. And again, ego is anti-love, right? Because again, the average ego doesn't want to feel their feelings. Because when you do, then you won't assume that you're separate from people, that, I'm a body, because that's all society is, right? I'm separate from you, and so I'm going to treat you in a certain way, etc. And then love is just realizing that you are that source, right? It's not it's again, you can't give somebody love, or somebody can't make you feel love. You can only realize it in yourself, and then you share that with people, right?
Yeah.
And that's what that is, yeah, I fully agree with you, man. Not the materialist idea of love, the proper feeling of love, which you felt was psychedelics, right? Which is just defies all logic, and just, it's literally the only thing that really matters. Those feelings, and just feelings in general. But I agree with you, yeah, that's definitely a thing that society, I'm sure, is moving towards, the whole liberal thing recently with trying, it's not the most useful thing, but honestly, they're trying to help people, they're trying to defend certain ethnicities and stuff, and that never necessarily happened before. So that's like the beginning of this consciousness revolution, but still pretty egoic, right? It's still like on Twitter, it's just retarded. Like Twitter is just like not the most useful, but you can kind of see the beginnings of it, like of them at least trying to consider other people, which never used to happen before, you know.
Yeah.
Like 100 years ago, never really used to care that much about, you know, protecting others necessarily or their values, but you know, it's starting to get there, but it's still too materialistic, right? It's still love is something that is something outside of me, something that I can get, you know, something I can get from somebody, but it's something that you are at your core. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree that the liberal sort of progressive types, I think that they're coming from the right place. I think I agree that I think they're a little bit off, but I do think that we're in the right direction of like trying to have everybody be equal and have everybody love each other. But I think we can literally sit here and talk all day. But I gotta wrap it up. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm really glad that we were able to set this up and that it worked.
Likewise, bro.
Yeah. Do you want to shout out your Bandcamp or any of your socials?
I'll shout out my Instagram. I've got a band in the works, you know, we're going to be performing hopefully soon once I get it all together. My Instagram is Maleficent, like the movie, Maleficent and Such. So, one more time, Maleficent, the letter M, Such. That's it.
Alright, yeah.
Definitely check it out.
I'll put the link to your Instagram in the description. Do you want me to put the Bandcamp link in the description too?
Oh yeah, yes please, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything else you want me to put there?
No, I think that's it, bro, yeah.
Okay. Again, it was really enjoyable to talk to you. We definitely gotta do this again.
Alright, bro, it was awesome.
Yeah, I'll hit you up, see if you want to do, maybe if you got some music coming out, we can talk about that and promote it. But I hope you have a good day, man. I'll see you.
Likewise, bro. Look after yourself, man.
You too.
Best, guys. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you too. See you.
If you're seeing this and you've made it to the end of the video, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a lot about mentality and reality in the universe and music as well as psychedelics from this video. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you follow Maleficent's Instagram and Bandcamp. And leave in the comments anything that you guys want me to do, if anything I can improve on my podcast, on my editing, people you would want me to interview, etc. And see you guys in the next one. Thank you.